following this guy? Borz, they call him, which stands for wolf. You know about him? Chechnyan fighter. Real short hair, kind of a cool looking beard. Absolute hammer, ferocious, known for conditioning. Are you following this guy? First name is Khamzat. Do you know who I'm talking about? Because it's not Chimaev. There's another one. There's another guy. The Khamzat Chimaev. Your guys is Khamzat Chimaev. Where did he fight before he came to the UFC? Do you know? Fought in an organization called Brave. And Brave is not only doing such a good job. I mean, they're putting out beautiful production. Some of their PR and some of their marketing could be a little bit stronger for a global appeal. But boy, when you start watching this Brave organization, these guys are on fire. And it's where Chimaev came from. Now, I just want to work through this again, right? Boris is what they call Chimaev, which means wolf. Khamzat is what they call him because it's his first name. Chechnya is where he's from because that's where the hospital that his mother had him was at. I mean, right, I could go on and on. Guy's 170 pounds. Got the same haircut, got the same look. When you put them side by side, you say, hey, I really see a resemblance there. And I assumed perhaps there was, but there's not. I looked into it. You know, were they cousins or brothers or relatives or distant? No, they weren't. Wasn't the situation. And I don't know if they know one another. I don't know, because one thing about your Chimaev, Khamzat, he's very young. And you guys don't always think of him like that. He's accomplished so much and he's done it so rapid. And he's a veteran of our industry now. And there are talks of him to go and fight either the former world champion or to fight for the world championship. I mean, he's a real veteran, right? But you forget he's very young. And it's uncommon that somebody, no matter the homage or respect they want to pay to somebody who came before them, it's very rare that they would do that in name and likeness and style to somebody as young as Chimaev. Now, I don't have evidence or proof otherwise. I've laid out my detective work for you. I admit there's some holes in my theory. But I think it's a coincidence, guys. I think this is all a coincidence. And when I watch this other Khamzat non-Chimaev, I am so impressed. He had a fight over the weekend in the Brave organization. In case you guys didn't see it, listen to me instead of going and looking up. I'll tell you even better because it's one of my colloquialisms, okay? Chimaev comes across the ring. He's got an opponent that looks pretty good. This opponent, right, if a picture's worth 1,000 words, man, this guy's put together. He looks pretty light on his feet. He comes out there, he snatches up a single leg. So not Chimaev is on one leg because his opponent has the other leg. Now, the reason I work myself into this is I've told you guys 100 times, that is a philosophical position within combat. Do you have the guy's leg? Do you have the guy's leg, or does the guy have both of your hands? Single legs don't work in MMA. You should never drill them. You should never practice them. And in all the years of MMA, you have one exception by the name of Chris Weidman. One exception ever that could go out and get one leg and take you down. Because you can't have a leg. You're giving him both of your hands. And the reason I say that is not Chimaev just stood on the one good foot that he had and started elbowing. Started giving the Travis Brown elbows right to the head. Knocked him out right there in the center of the octagon. So now the bigger question becomes, and the whole reason I'm coming to you guys today, what do you do with him and when do you do it? What do you do with Khamzat, not Chimaev? And I have felt before that I know the answer because I think twins are so helpful. The Sarah brothers weren't twins, to my knowledge. I thought it was helpful having two of them. The Hughes brothers were twins. I thought it was helpful. I wanted to see more of Mark. Maybe I'm speaking for myself here, but I liked it. I liked it, and that dates all the way back to UFC 1 in 1993, where you had the Shamrock brothers, right? Where we found about the Gracie brothers and cousins and family. I just think that it's a helpful thing. Where I think people disagree with me is looking at Nurmagomedov's. You have Khabib Nurmagomedov that we deem to be so helpful. We are going to beg him to not retire. Oh, and by the way, we're going to get Khamzat Chimaev, who can represent some of that same demographic, and we're going to get him to the top of the bill as quickly as we can. We have other Nurmagomedovs who are much more accomplished than these other names you're bringing up, who not only represent that same demographic, they'll represent it while being from the same family. And we saw with Gracie how helpful that was for a meaningful period of time. If your last name was Gracie, you were getting on a card if you wanted there. You were going to get in a feature match on the card if your last name was Gracie. You're going to make a lot more money than everybody else on the card with the same experience level as you if your name is Gracie. I've always seen it as something that could be helpful, but I haven't really seen that, at least not as a predetermined indicator. The Nurmagomedovs are now doing very good. One of them is about to main event opposite Corey Sandhagen. Got another Nurmagomedov with just as beautiful of a 17-0 record as the reigning Bellator champion of the world at 155 pounds. But it seemed as though what we could have used as to get this momentum and really get this ball rolling, it seems as though somebody somewhere sees it another way. And I would just be curious what that is. I'd be very curious. We have this great talent who's named Borz, who's from Chechnya. He's got the same haircut, similar beard. Real close fighting style, non-stop aggression, found a way to weaponize pace, beautiful and undefeated record. First name is Khamzat. That's a story to me. To me, that's a story. I'm just wondering who's with me on this. If you know who this guy is, then you're just as impressed as I am. If you've watched him fight, you see the potential, and you know this is a future title challenger at a minimum. At a minimum. We're kind of reckless when we say this is a future champion. But he's a future contender. I feel as though he's quite possibly a current contender. So what do you do with him, and when do you do it? When do you bring him over? It's a very interesting question, because if I am being met with resistance, if somebody has an idea opposite of mine, and there is a little bit of a resistance there, where's it come from? Is it the similarities? Is it confusing? Do you think there's only room for one? By example, if he grew his hair, shaved his beard, changed his nickname, just by example, would that be more or less helpful to the rejuvenation of his career? Simple question, but it's a sincere one. If you've got the answer, I'd love to hear it.